everyone. You know, I was thinking about doing this earlier this morning, but I was talking about the whole Sonic. I was doing a video, unfortunately a two-part video on Sonic's 25th anniversary, so be sure you watch that and take your time with it. But I thought I'd come out and I'd talk about something else. What I want to talk about is something that, ironically, as I was thinking about it, Doug Walker, when he did his review of Finding Dora, even brought it up. Sort of. And what he brought up is why Finding Dora couldn't be rated G. Why all of a sudden here's another case of an animated film that anybody could see has to be rated PG. Why? Because it's got a fart joke, it's got a adult reference or innuendo. I mean, what's the point? And that is probably the biggest question I think a lot of us have is, why some of these, if not a majority, I should say, of these animated films lately that the whole family can see, why do they have a PG-13 rating? Why do they have a PG-13 rating? And we all can ask that question, but we can always ask that, but the ultimate question is why? What's the need for it? Has the G rating become irrelevant? Or has PG become the new G when it comes to films? When it comes to family-oriented or children's films? Has it become the new G of motion pictures? Animated motion pictures, that is. Now, I know some might say, well, G is not totally dead. The Peanuts movie got a G rating. That's true. That is true. It did get a G rating. But let me explain something. It was in tribute to the Charles Schulz, easy for me to say, and his family, who had given the blessings for this to happen. And the Peanuts gang was always a G-rated material, always family-oriented. And basically, Charles Schulz, being a Christian, a religious man, along with his family being the same way, I don't think would approve, even if he was still alive, wouldn't approve of a Peanuts movie getting a PG rating. They wouldn't approve of it. Which is why Blue Skies, when they did the Peanuts movie, knew that they had to do it in a way that it was going to get that G rating. And that's why it was done the way it was done. Now you might say to yourself, well, if the Peanuts movie can get a G rating, then what's up with Finding Dora or Inside Out or Zootopia? What's with them not getting G ratings? And some might say there's some thematical elements as as noted in the PG rating box. You say there's thematical elements, stuff like that, scary images. And that might be true. But there have been G-rated movies for kids and families that have the same thing. Zootopia, you may say, yeah, that probably deserved one because of the subject they were touching upon. You might say, yeah, it got a PG rating because the subject they were referencing and talking about, but still, that might be an exception, but everything else at times is G. Most of the animated films in recent memory could get a G rating, no matter how over the top the message might be or how complicated the story might be. If it's meant for the entire family, mostly kids, it should get a G rating. But again, that makes me wonder if PG is the new G for animated films. If G is kind of like becoming a rare rating, like let's say NC-17. You know that when movies like, let's say, 50 Shades of Grey come out, those are the kind of films, because of what it describes and what it's focused on, those are going to definitely probably get the NC-17 rating. And that's very rare for that to happen. So is G becoming as rare as that? Is it becoming to the point that if a movie gets a G rating, that the only way it's going to get a G rating is if the movie, is if the movie is so pure, or if the movie is so intended for such a younger audience that they need to do it. That they need to do it. Is it intended to be that way? And, the way I look at it, I can't really say yay or nay about it. I mean, when one thinks about it, back in the 80s and the 90s, when an animated film would get a PG rating, there would be a reason for it. There would be a reasoning for it. Some would say because PG-13 wasn't really in the now, if you will. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't really relevant to the point that any movie that came out would be in need of it. People look at Transformers the movie, which is finally getting a North American Blu-ray release on September 13th. I remember listening to the commentary, I think, on the 20th anniversary edition DVD, and they said basically that either because of the tone of violence, that you were either looking at a PG rating or an R rating, and that the original script, had they gone with that, would have definitely contended it for an R rating, because there was no PG-13 really in existence. I mean, it was in existence, but really wasn't used or needed as much as it does now. It's not as common as it is now, and that even brings up the question, as if PG is the new G, then obviously PG-13 is becoming the new PG, and R is becoming, R is still R, but it's somewhat becoming almost like the NC-17 now as well. Now you might say, well, PG-13 is almost like it's becoming R. That's because PG-13 is kind of stuck in the middle, But again, I think sometimes Hollywood today and the Motion Picture Association has it so mixed up that they cannot identify what movies are necessary for G ratings, what movies are necessary for G ratings, what are necessary for PG, PG-13, R, NC-17. You get the deal. It's like right now they have no idea, because of the mixed signals they're getting from any kind of movie, I guess, in their opinion, what deserves what kind of a rating. But that does leave the question again. That does leave that question open again. Is PG the new G, and thus are the ratings that follow becoming the new R's or PGs, like PG-13? Is that on the borderline of somewhat being R and PG, being the new R, the new PG? So, we'll just have to wait and see, but all I'm going to say is, whatever they got planned, for the future, hopefully the MPAA will figure things out and realize that, hey, movies like Dora, Finding Dora, Inside Out, stuff like that, even though they might be complicated in the messages, if you got a mostly kid audience seeing it, you have to give it a G rating. So that's all I'm going to say.